That's Wes.
That's Andrew.
We are Doc Rotten.
And you're listening to Rock On Radio. Rock on.
That was a good choice, Art. Good choice for an opener, considering who we have in studio this evening and are part of that whole Trenton takeover type of thing.
I just edited that this afternoon.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Our friends in Doc Rotten. Hello, everybody. It's Sunday night. It's 7 o'clock. It is City of Angels Radio, COARadio.com. We are also being heard on Society Bites, BYTES, SocietyBitesRadio.com. And, yes. This is Rock On Radio. I am your host, Danny Coleman, and I am joined in studio this evening by engineer Art.
Good morning.
Feel like morning?
Woo. Good morning.
I am not a morning person.
Morning as in M-O-R or M-O-U-R? You could be sad.
No more M-O-U-R.
No more.
We had enough of that this year.
All right, we have the chocolate lady. Chocolate Eclair.
Hello.
Claire is here.
Yeah.
Woohoo! We got chocolate. That's a pretty good stack of chocolate.
It is. And it's not melted, thankfully.
You took it home?
So we
I
have
did.
to eat it fast.
It might melt.
Right. We have Junior. We have Art Junior here. Sam is in studio. See, there's that eye roll
She's
again.
silent.
I get that eye roll.
Silent Sam.
I get that. Why do you always roll your eyes at me? At least now she's smiling. Rock On Radio is brought to you by, we are brought to you by Neo Zoe Health and Wellness Center of Cranford, New Jersey, as well as Rich Yolanda's Flying Dreams.
Yeah.
Eileen Sullivan, actress and voiceover artist, as well as Jody Weber, CPA. Jody, I think, is finally coming out of the deluge of paperwork that she's been under.
Taxes.
So
Taxes,
I've seen a little bit more of her on Facebook these days. Also, if you wish to join in the conversation this evening, you can do so by calling 609-241-7103, because with us we have Kevin Nanichka.
That's me.
That's right. And Matt Makin of Experiment 34.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
You guys were thrust upon me by Bob Makin.
Never heard of him. No,
Who is that guy? Because you guys are going to be playing. You're part of the Trenton Takeover at his next event, July 14th, at the Asbury Park Brewery in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
AP.
That's it, AP.
Yeah, we love playing in Asbury Park.
The AP. Do you? Why?
Oh yeah, it's where music's at its best. I feel it's just in New Jersey at least. It's got the Stone Pony, the Saint. We've never played at the Asbury Park Brewery before, but we're excited to. It's just
That should be
we've had a
fun,
lot of
yeah.
great gigs there. so.
Wonder Bar.
I used to, That's actually the first gig I ever did in Asbury Park was
Really?
the Wunderbar.
The Wunderbar, yeah.
Wunderbar.
Great
Love that
stage.
place.
Yep. Then I can't countless times I've played the Saint and the Pony, but one of my favorite gigs doesn't even exist anymore. And
What's
you
that?
didn't make any money unless you were with an artist who really promoted and drew a lot of people. But it used to be called the Sandwich.
The Sandwich.
It was that little pod that's right next to the mini golf on the boardwalk.
Really?
It was a sandwich
Oh,
shop.
that place. That's cool.
And she used to let you set up right there in front of the mini golf, and she would give you all the, smoothies you wanted to drink or anything you wanted to drink, and she would feed you dinner, but she didn't pay you. You had to put out a tip jar.
Hey, food's as good as money.
You know,
That's
yeah,
You
right.
gotta eat.
And she would put out a tip jar, and it was always great because the afternoon gigs were tough because it was hot, But the boardwalk, you always had an audience, because days like today, it'd be beautiful. People be coming off the boards to
whole
listen,
weekend.
right? And it's been gorgeous here
Yeah.
ever since last week's oppressive heat.
Well, that's why we loved it so much.
Correct. And, but the gigs that were my favorite were the ones at night, because you'd have the sun setting behind you, which was usually gorgeous, but the moon was rising over the ocean, and it was just like perfect. You heard the waves and so on and so
And
forth.
that nice
So,
breeze.
and I used to love doing them gigs. Like I said, didn't make anything.
Yeah.
I made as little as $5 and as much as 90. But there was, but you got free food. I met Springsteen walking down the boardwalk there one
Wow,
night.
that's
You know,
cool.
so it's like that was my favorite gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this time of year, yeah, Asbury Park is hopping and jumping, and you guys are part of the Experiment 34 thing. And right now, though, before we get to you guys, or the Trenton Makes thing, Experiment 34, we have to make a phone call, Art.
We do.
We have to. Art is going to dial this super secret number, and we are going to get a. We are going to get on the phone right now. I believe they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
think so, right? The
Yeah,
Rascals, the
Rascals have to
Rascals,
be.
legendary guitarist, and of the Rascals, Mr. Gene Cornish is scheduled to be with us. Hopefully, he
Answers the phone.
answers the phone and remembers. I don't think it'll be a problem.
I don't know that number.
But yeah, right. Hey, Gene Cornish, it's Danny Coleman. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I am fantastic. It is a pleasure to speak with you once again.
Yes, we had a great interview last week.
Oh, I thank you. I very much enjoyed talking to you. That was fantastic. Yep, 1997. 1997, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Gene Cornish, guitarist of the Rascals, on the phone with us right now. And woo! Gene, thank you again, as I said, for taking the time.
Hey, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Gene.
There you go. Welcome to Rock on Radio, Gene. You have a show coming up in Toms River very shortly, July 21st, I believe, correct?
No, that was moved to October 21st.
Oh, October 21st. Okay. Oh, that's right. No, that's right. I remember you telling me that now. Thank you. Oh, my mistake. I'm looking
We're starting the tour July 18th in Stamford, Connecticut. And Westbury Music Fair on the 20th of July. That's Felix Cavalieri and Gene Cornish's Rascals, featuring on drums, hold it, wait for it, Carmine Appice from
That's
the
right.
Vanilla Fudge on drums.
Carmine Appice on drums.
Nice.
See? That's great. That's an all-star lineup right there, Gene.
And when and where is this?
That's he's
Music festival.
Connecticut. But they will be back here in October in Toms River, actually.
And then later on in the year, we'll be in Morristown also.
There you go. Morristown, New
I'll
Jersey.
keep you posted on that one. They can people can look at our website and check out. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the website, but there is a Rascal website out there, and they can check the dates.
That's perfect, and that's what we'll send them to do that. Our resident chocolate
to
lady is going to do that right now. She's going to look that up for
I
us.
wanted to mention, Danny.
Go ahead.
Danny, we're going to be on television July 27th on the Fox network. They do the Fox and Friends concert series in the morning at 8 in the morning, Friday, July 27th.
Oh, that's right. You're going to be with Dion, or are you going to be by yourself?
No, it's a television concert, just the Rascals.
Just the Rascals. Oh, okay. I thought you mentioned something about Dion the other day. Again, going back to our conversation the other day, which was fantastic. We were talking about how, you guys were, you put out, 8 albums in when you came out as the Rascals and broke Billboard's
in the
top
5
40.
years.
Right.
In the 5 years we were together, we had 17 hit records, singles, 45, and 8 gold and platinum albums. Yeah,
And
we're very fortunate, very blessed.
and how that was you guys were only technically together from 1965 to 1970, and that magic happened in those 5 years. But now here you are again, all these years later, and you were telling me how it's just as magical when you step on stage.
Well, we did a reunion tour in 2013 called Once Upon a Dream, and we were on Broadway for 15 shows, and we went all over the country. We did 70 shows together after not being together for 40 years. So we've had the last 5 years off, and Felix and I decided, you know what, we got to play this music while we can for our fans that are still out there, and so we're going out to do it.
And we were saying how, they've become, those fans are now generational. parents and grandparents are bringing kids and grandkids, and they're loving the music as if it was 1965 again.
Well, you know, the younger, the next generation, or we'll say the grandkids or their kids from our fans, have heard the music in movies and commercials, and so they come and go, oh, that's the band, you know, because they know the songs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's to be able to touch that many people for that long, you know, it's something I think, and I think I spoke to you about it the other day, something I think music lacks today. There's no staying power. There's nobody writing the hits like you guys did, or covering material. You told me something the other day, Gene, that actually I was unaware of. That one of your biggest hits, "Good Lovin'," was actually a cover from the Olympics.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it was one of our stage tunes when we were a bar band cover band. That's right. That and Mustang Sally.
Okay.
We found both of those songs. We found Mustang Sally way before Wilson Beckett ever recorded it. He got the idea from us because he was on Stax Records, which was part of Atlantic Records at the time. So we were doing Good Lovin' for about 8 months before we even recorded it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm glad you did. You know what? Speaking of Good Lovin', now, I know we talked the other day. I'm a drummer. And one of the hardest things as a drummer, that break in the middle where you have an 8 count, essentially. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Good love, and you come back. Every time I've ever played that, there's one, and no offense, Kev, but there's one guitar player or vocalist that always comes in way too early, and it's like I want to strangle him. You know?
You know what you do?
Go ahead.
Here's what you do. You do what James Brown used to do. Anybody makes a mistake, it's a $5 fine.
I would have been rich by this point, I think. How does that make you feel, knowing that not only has the music lasted the test, or stood the test of time, but people are still playing it in bars today in cover bands?
Well, listen, we're very blessed with that. There's a lot of music from the '60s that still holds up by other acts, but the 1960s, from the Beatles on, even for the Beatles with the Carole King and Jerry Goffin days, those songs were crafted. They were crafted in a certain way. We all learned from each other, and we listened. And because we were a cover band when we started, we learned how these songs were crafted and written. As I said, the young bands now, and they have their own music, and it's all very credible for their generation. But they don't do covers. They insist on going out there and playing their own stuff, and they're not learning how to craft songs at this point. I'm not a critic. I'm not. I've never written a hit record myself personally, but I co-produced the Rascals with Felix, and we learned how to do it by listening to other people.
That's what you were. You are the first person that I've ever heard say that. Say that you should listen to other bands or other covers and play cover material as opposed to pushing your own original.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not looking to discourage anybody from originals.
Oh, no, I get it.
That's the way you develop.
Right.
But you know what? When we learn how to speak English through books, through movies. We learn how to speak. We learn how to walk. We learn how to hit a baseball by watching other people. We learn, so you can learn how to write better songs, or maybe more organized songs. And there are some very good young songwriters out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not some old codge who doesn't like the new.
Right. Yeah, no, I know. I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, because I've always been kind of a hardliner the other way. There's so many cover songs out there. I never thought of it the way that you said it, where you should say, where you should try to pick up off of other people's, take their ideas and kind of expand upon them or shrink them down, kind of make them your own. And I never thought to watch cover bands to do that.
Well, it's called inspire. They get inspired by certain things. It's certain beats, you listen, and then you create your own style. You don't want to copy. I was never one as a guitar player, and I'm playing 65 years now. I was never one to copy a solo note for note on somebody else's song. I was probably lazy, and luckily I created my own niche and what I did. So you can hear influences in my playing, definitely, without a doubt. But my advice is just go for it. That's it. As a young musician, and and build your fan base. There's a lot of new bands out there that I've never even heard of that are selling out the garden. So they're doing something right.
Okay. Well, that's true. The problem is that my question is, will they be selling out the garden 5 years from now? That's the question.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't have a crystal ball on that. I don't.
I know. Oh, how about? I noticed we can get to your tour through Felix's website. Is that the one that you've been using?
Yeah, you can do that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that's FelixCavalierMusic.com out there where we can find out the tour dates.
Looks like they're all out there. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, when are you now? Are you currently on the road, or are you getting ready to go back out on the road?
No, we're going to start rehearsing next Thursday.
Oh, great.
Our first gig I mentioned is July 18th.
Okay, and
then we're July 20th in Westbury. We have Ronnie Spector and the Ronettes opening for us on that show.
that'd be great. I'd love to see that one.
Yeah, that's
Ronnie
cool.
Spector,
Yeah.
Ronnie and the Ronettes. That'd be fantastic.
So she's going to be with us at Town Hall also. I believe it's I'm not sure, October, I believe.
Okay. All right, great.
I got to get educated to my schedule this week.
That's all right. That's why there's guys like me to write that all out. I'll figure that out. I'll figure it all out, Gene. Not a problem. All right. Well, I won't keep you any longer, sir. I appreciate your time, and I am quite grateful for you agreeing to speak with us and speak with me again. I very much appreciate it. Again, that's.
Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank the fans out there for supporting us all these years, and please come out and see us. It's going to be a great show.
Oh, I have no doubt. You guys influenced musicians. I mean, they're still playing your music today, so I think it's a great thing, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to speak with you, sir.
Take care. Have a great summer.
You too, Gene. Good luck on the tour. Good luck with everything that's going on, and rock on, my friend.
Peace.
There you go. Gene Cornish of the Rascals, guitar player of the Rascals, and them guys are back out on. He's 74 years old. You know that?
Wow.
74
Wow,
years
that's
old.
awesome.
That's even older than me, dude.
And he's still doing
Barely.
Right? Barely.
This thing,
Wow. Art, you hear that?
You weren't supposed to hear that.
Shots fired.
You're
Shots
falling
fired.
You're falling apart,
I'm
man.
telling you.
Just normal.
All right. Thank you, men, for your patience. If you're just tuning in, this is Rock On Radio. I am Danny Coleman, and our guests this evening are two of the members of Experiment 34. We have Matt and Kevin.
Hey.
Woohoo! There you go. That's it. So what's going on, guys? Talk to me.
Hey, not too much. We just played a show at the Meat Locker recently. Played with a few cool bands, Baron Praxis, and they rocked out.
They were
show
awesome.
show went late, but we were rocking with them till like 1 a.m. It was a good time.
Yeah.
We got a show coming up on July 14th. The Trenton Makes Takeover. It's with the Crypt Keeper 5, Chalk and the Beige Americans.
Molly
Molly.
Rhythm
That's right.
and the Hub City Stompers.
Up City Stompers, that's right. Yeah, that's going to be an awesome show. So if you're in the Asbury Park area, or even if you're not, you can travel, Definitely
roads.
come out, check us out.
If I didn't have a gig myself that night, I would be there for that.
Ah, nice.
Because Trenton is
Trenton.
is near and dear to my heart.
I was just talking about that today. Like people from Jersey, they say Trenton, not Trenton.
Right.
Like people come from out of state. I'm
You
looking
hear
for
these-
Trenton.
Yeah.
Trenton?
You're not from around here, are you? That's how I knew, 20
Like
years.
the GPS is like, go towards Trenton.
We send him to Princeton.
20 years I was a UPS guy. I always knew who wasn't in the area. They were trying to go down to all the state buildings downtown, and they'd be like, I'm sorry, is this Trenton?
Yeah.
Very first time I ever did a radio show, I got a million things going on. But first of all, they forgot I was supposed to start doing the show, so nobody was at the station. So when I had somebody let me into the station, I have to engineer my own show. I hadn't sat behind a board, and it had to be 20 plus years, and I had to engineer my own show. I had to figure out how to get the phones working. My very first show, and I get on the air, and I'm like, and from Trenton, New Jersey, I'm getting a text like 30 seconds later from my mother. Where'd you grow up, son? What do you mean Trenton?
You say Trenton?
There's no first N. Trenton, Tretun, Trenton.
Pretty much.
You don't have no idea. I mean, this show's it'll be on next year. It'll be 10 years I've been doing this.
Wow, nice.
And so many times over the last 9+ years have I heard that from people, Where'd you grow up? I grew up in Hamilton, actually. I didn't even grow up in Trenton,
Yeah.
but I grew up so
Close
close,
enough.
so close to the line, I could.
They're pretty much the same.
Right, yeah.
That's where we practice. So.
I used to play baseball as a kid in Wetzel Field, which is right across the street from Champs. If you guys know
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
Champs,
we played
yeah.
Champs a bunch of times.
Right, that baseball field there. I mean, my house was only a block and a half down the street and 2 blocks down.
That's the classic no door on the bathroom stall.
Correct. Yes, that's it. That's like the Saint. Without the stickers.
Yeah.
Right.
Or are there stickers? It
No,
might be.
yeah,
Are there
some,
stickers?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Now, when I was a kid, Champs used to be a restaurant called Bartolini's. They had some really
fancy.
great pizza, and you would,
You'd
liquor
think.
store was in the front. The main dining room was where all the bands play now.
Oh, really?
Okay, the bar has always been where it's at for the most part.
Yeah.
And then there was a back stairway that went up to another dining room. And I mean, that's where the women had to enter. Apparently, you had to go. That's how old this place. That's you had to go up there, and the men got to go in down here, and women had to go in. It was just
Wow.
that law didn't last much
Yeah.
past my first 4 or 5 years, I think. But now, what are you rolling your eyes about?
That was me, not Sam.
That's what I'm saying. You
Oh,
roll-
I
what do
roll.
you-
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, what did I do?
No. I'm just
Never should have
saying.
let him vote.
Oh, man.
All right. Go ahead. Write me letters. No publicity's bad publicity.
I'll be writing one. Don't worry.
Sure. I'm surprised you haven't written 2
We're getting
right now.
email on that one. We're getting,
I'm working on it
Yeah,
right now.
The fingers are typing as we speak.
Right?
What do you think I've been doing?
Show.
Chauvinist.
Well, you're doing this.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
So they.
Shoe fits.
Well, now you want to go even further. Now,
No.
This will make you sad.
You do, though.
I do, and I
Yes,
will.
you will.
I will. I have that kind of capability. I was talking with my mother the other day, and she was saying how she's like, "Yeah, do you remember when Grandma, her mother, worked at Trenton High School?" I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "I was little." I said, "But I know Grandma used to take me into that big walk-in fridge and give me half a pint of milk."
Oh, nice.
And I also remember seeing the segregated water fountains, black and white. And, that, of course, that went away, and, so there's a lot of things. And then that went away after the riots in Trenton, which was, 67. And that, I was a kid. I was only like 5, 6 years old.
I wasn't born yet. Sorry.
I guess
You
sometimes
were
you got to ride to make
I
change.
was not.
See?
Nope.
when was that?
67.
67.
Remember the riots in
I
Trenton?
wasn't even a thought.
Because
in
Trenton and Asbury Park had the riots the
twinkle in
same year.
anybody's-
See, I was,
Right.
And there are 2 cities that
like
were forever
11.
changed.
I was
Yeah,
like
see?
11.
You were like shaven by that time.
I had a beard. I was at the bar. Drinking age was 18.
See, that's why Kev has that beard. There's been no riots for him to shave to. But that. But up until then,
The year is young.
true. And as a young musician, there were tons of places to play. Years later, when I started playing in bars, drinking age was 18. There were no smoking bans. It was a totally different atmosphere. You were saying earlier how you guys love to play in Asbury Park because of the whole vibe and things like that. And I have to agree with you. That's probably one of the coolest music cities I've ever had the pleasure of playing in. You know, not that I've toured the world by any stretch of imagination, but
Well, yeah,
You
I
know.
mean, we had a lot of fun in Austin too, but as far as New Jersey goes, I mean, yeah, Asbury Park is
That's where it's at.
pretty cool. We recorded our first EP there. We're actually working on a new album now. We're recording that in Middletown with our friend Ryan Weil of Weil House Studios. He's absolute genius, really getting our sound down. So we just released a new single, Cut the String, from said album, and we're going to be looking to release some more pretty soon before the album itself is coming out. So.
okay. Yeah, I saw that you just released that new single. Is it going to be an EP or an LP?
This one's going to be a full length.
Full length, okay.
What we recorded in Asbury Park 2 years ago?
Yeah,
A little over a year ago?
Had to be 2 years ago.
Got to be 2 years ago now. That was an EP. That was actually an EP in 2 parts. It was a 3-song EP turned 6-song EP called Charismatic.
Right.
Then the second one was called Charismatic 2.0.
2.0.
I remember that, and I remember the story because you somebody called you at
Oh,
like
yeah,
2 o'clock in the morning. I got it.
Charismatic.
He
Charismatic.
called me just to say charismatic incorrectly, and he said charismatic, and I was like, why? and then we hung up, and I was like, charismatic, mania, and just kind of threw them together, and it was like worked out from there.
See how that comes about? See how musicians
Yeah.
operate? It's just,
Yes.
All the best ideas come after midnight.
yeah.
So.
Or after like
12 and 3.
alcohol and
Couple drinks.
That's usually why it's midnight.
Well, those are always at least the best at the time.
See?
Right. It seems like a good idea.
So what is the name of this new one?
We're still playing around with some ideas, but it's temporarily called The American Nightmare.
Okay. The American
is-
Nightmare.
Yep. That's it's a little politically charged. I'm not going to go too much further into that. You'll just have to listen to yourself and delve out the details.
The delve is in the details.
Yes, sir.
Well, you guys want to do some music right now?
Yeah.
You want to go off of something you sent Art? You want to do it live? What you want to do?
We'll go live for now.
Okay.
What?
If you're just tuning in, this is Rock On Radio, and our guest this evening, it's Experiment 34. If you want to give us a call, like Gene Cornish of the Rascals, you can do so at 609-241-7103. That's 609-241-7103. I'm looking at all of you at home right now. This is on YouTube, Art, right? Where do we find the link?
If you go to COARadio.com, you'll see the YouTube link on the right-hand side. And
Click on the
streaming
icon.
live, yeah.
Beautiful.
We'll put the
Fantastic.
edited version out, though.
Oh,
tomorrow.
thankfully.
Really?
Yeah, well, I have 2 cameras. Right now, you're only seeing one live. But I'll edit it. I'll fix the sound.
There'll be a voice sync.
There'll be a voice sync.
Because I don't want
Hopefully.
them looking like a Japanese movie or anything.
We never do that.
If they would, you would.
They'll be saying, "That's right." I'm over here talking to you, and I'll be like, "Oh no, look, the monster."
That's fine.
Correct. That's right. Like,
I love how their
We'll
mouths,
screw 'em up now.
Their mouths move. It looks like they're going a mile a minute, and
Right.
then it's just like the translation is just like yes.
hello.
Apparently, that wasn't hard to do.
Apparently not. All right. So what are we doing?
We're gonna start with a song called Mud. This is off our EP Charismatic 2.0. You can get that on Spotify, iTunes. You can get a physical copy pretty much anywhere you can get music. Or you can check out our website, experiment34.com.
Can we shake you down at shows for it?
You can shake us down at shows for it. Name your price. We'll name a price. We'll see what we come up with.
Okay.
If you dance, we usually give it to you for free.
Can we
so.
assault your father in the parking lot? I know you got that on your.
Only if he's
I mean, that's on you and him. I don't condone or
you don't
any
support
such
that behavior.
behavior.
Okay. Oh well. All right. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are. You ready? All right.
sir.
We are Rock On Radio, and this is Experiment 34.
The sinners keeps creeping on the ceiling and it stays. The pills stop my brain with this feeling, but it's fake. Stop my head for spinning if I fall and get the shakes. Pop and pick it back up where it started. Wait, I'm coming up for air. Coming up for air. Don't wanna get stuck. Don't wanna get stuck down there.
I'm asleep in a dream and I'm still wide awake. I'm awake and the pace is erased in the space. If I sleep forever, can I easily rest in the sky looking forward to whatever comes next? I'm coming up for air. I'm coming up for air. Don't wanna get stuck. Don't wanna get stuck down there. I'm coming up for air. I'm coming up for air. Don't wanna get stuck. Don't wanna get stuck down there. Killer. Here we go now. We are Experiment 34, and we're about to break it down. She's armed with a knife in the kitchen. She's armed with a knife in the kitchen. She's armed with a knife in the kitchen, pointed to a spot that she left on her arm. She turns the blade to my position, screaming till death do us part. 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 Till death do us part. I'm coming up for air. I'm coming up for air. Don't wanna get stuck. Don't wanna get stuck down there. I'm coming up for air. I'm coming up for air. Don't wanna get stuck. Don't wanna get stuck down there. I'm no stuck. Don't wanna get stuck. Don't wanna get stuck. Don't wanna get stuck. No, don't wanna get stuck. Stuck, 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 stuck down there.
Experiment 34 here on Rock On Radio.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. What was the name of that?
That was called Mud.
Mud. Okay. I remembered as soon as I said you. What was the name of that?
We call that our dirty song.
I see. Now, little Chili Pepper influencer.
Definitely a band I
Okay.
listen to.
All right.
That is actually a band. You know, all the members of the band like a lot. One of the bands that kind of meshes together. We have a lot of differences in taste and a lot of similarities. That's one of our similarities. I feel like the differences is what makes us kind of, I like to think, original. But the similarities is what kind of gels us. So that's definitely one of those bands that we all love for sure.
Right. And, okay. Chili Peppers. Who else, Kev?
I'm into a lot of, like guitar icons, Hendrix. Mainly Hendrix.
That's it.
Stop right there.
No, I like everybody. I like Hendrix, Zach Wild.
You
know,
ever
like,
seen Zach Wild?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
We were supposed to play with
yeah.
him once.
At,
But our
Rock-
set got rained out.
Rock Carnival in, what was that, 2016 or something like that?
Yeah, Rockin' Derby was 2015. It was a year later. So
Yeah, so 2016.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great.
But yeah, we were supposed to play with them, but we got rained out because we were like an outside state. Well, it was mainly an outdoor event, but
It
our
was in
stage,
Lakewood.
yeah,
The
at the Blue Claw Stadium.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Alice Cooper.
Twisted Sister.
Yeah, they played the
Alice-
next night.
They played the next night. That's right.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper, Zach Wild doing Zach Sabbath, I think.
Yeah, Zach Sabbath. He was
And,
doing all Black Sabbath songs, and
But
it was awesome.
It was torrential downpour. The fact that they still played was probably dangerous.
Yeah, right.
But a show must go on. You know?
Oh, and Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh,
They
nice.
played there too.
More cowbell.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm a cultist. I've seen them.
yeah?
I've seen them about I think got at least half a dozen, maybe 7 times
Wow, nice.
over the years. Back, I saw them as far back as the old Spectrum in Philadelphia,
Oh wow.
which is now Xfinity Live in a parking lot.
Oh.
They sent me to cover one of the mags I write for. Wanted me to cover G5.
Oh really?
And
That must have been.
or not G5.
G3?
No, Axe. Generation Axe.
Okay. Yeah.
Gen Axe.
Yeah.
And it was Zach Weil.
Wasn't Joe Satriani there?
No. No, he's doing a GX tour.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was Zach. It was Nuno Betancourt.
Right. Yeah.
Toby Abassi. Ingve.
Yeah.
And what do you call it?
The guy from
Steve Vai.
Right.
And Steve
Oh,
Vai.
I
And I
love
was
Steve
like,
Vai.
you know what? I'm not a big metal guy, but I thought these are like some of the greatest guitar players in the world.
They're just on another level of just playing. And
Steve Vai, it's your theory that he's Buckethead, right?
I think so, but
Well, we know he was the devil in the Ralph Macchio
Yeah,
version of Crossroads.
Oh, yeah.
He actually played both parts.
the slide and the shredding
The
part.
devil and Robert,
Ralph Macchio.
They had like a duel off, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
I think Steve I won.
Think so?
Yeah, just
Not in the movie, but
Not
I
in the
agree.
movie.
I agree.
Although the blues is very powerful.
You like the blues?
Oh yeah.
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 That's my
we
favorite
have
genre.
we have a couple slide songs where I play a glass slide.
Yeah, one of our first songs.
Yeah,
Slide
Hungry, and then we have a song that's like a hip hop song, and then there's like a slide guitar in it, and then this guy we played it live. Well, we play it live a lot, and this guy was like, I have never seen or heard a hip hop song with a slide guitar in it. So I guess he liked it.
Congratulations. You have now. Actually, well, Helen O'Shea is listening. She says we sound great, and she's glad I'm better. So thank you, Helen, very much. I appreciate that. So, all right, well, websites, how do we find you guys?
Experiment34.com.
Kevin does a lot of work on the website, so
Okay, you're the man there for that?
we are also on Facebook or Instagram. We have a Twitter. We're not as active on that one as the others, but we try.
Okay.
We're on YouTube. We have our music videos
Yes,
on there.
please subscribe to our YouTube.
Which is, what's the channel?
The channel, if you type in Experiment 34, we should come right up. We are working on getting some more subscriptions so that we can change the URL of that. So help us out
Get
there.
that permanent,
And, yeah.
that permanent one.
And you
So
get a
that-
free download.
Free download of our
Cut the
new
String.
song, Cut the String, if you
nice.
subscribe.
Nice.
So
Fantastic. I like that. Like that.
We like it too.
I'm glad.
yeah, I thought that was a good idea too. Yeah.
Before we get to a little more music, there's a couple of things I want to throw out there. We were talking before we went on the air. The band is kind of going through some changes right now, right? And you two are basically the mainstays at the moment. So, but the CD that's coming out has all the original players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're not exactly sure the status of some things right now, but we've all worked together for a long time, and we've worked really hard on this album, so we don't want anything to detract from that. It's it was definitely a group effort, and everything we do now and in the future will always be a group effort. So. So yeah, I mean, our bassist Johnny's been in the band for years. He's as much a mainstay as any. But we'll cross some things as it comes to it. But yeah, me and Kevin definitely started
As the
Experiment
Strangers.
As the Strangers, that's right.
Oh
So
wow, okay.
as we've been Experiment 34, it's been the same lineup for the most part.
Well, how long have you guys been together?
Like
Almost 4 years.
We've
maybe?
known each other for about 4 years.
For 4 years. We've been a band it was just me and Kevin for like 4 months, and then
Yeah.
Johnny joined the band. Then we had another drummer, and then Jack joined the band. And we've been Experiment 34 for for a little while now.
3 years.
Yeah, at least 3 years.
Yeah, we almost got sued from Merle Haggard and Strangers.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Ah.
So that was why we changed our name.
Got the old cease and desist letter?
Well, we didn't get the letter, but we got a message saying that if we didn't change it, we would be receiving said letter.
Nice.
Nice.
And where'd you get
So-
Experiment 34 from?
We were just sitting in the garage, and then just spitballing names, and then
What's 34?
I always say just the first 33 experiments didn't work.
yeah, that's the PR one. But yeah,
My buddy's a comic, and he says, he goes, how about that surgeon that says to you, don't worry about this surgery. I've done this surgery's successful 999 times out of 1,000. And what if I'm the 1,000?
Yeah. I would not appreciate if a surgeon said that to me.
You take your chances, I guess.
yeah.
Chances are good, but
Yeah,
there's
right?
still that one. I don't know.
Correct. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was, of course, why you're here, and is your father, Bob Makin, longtime music journalist. He has been writing longer than Sam over there has been alive, so we'll just go with that. Think about that.
Longer than I've been alive too.
Longer than you've been alive. That's right. He's covered everything from New Brunswick to the Jersey Shore to now. It's good to see him expanding a little more consistently into Trenton and those kind of things. But he's got the series at the Asbury Park Brewery. And again, you guys are there on July 14th with Chalk and the Beige Americans, Crypt Keeper 5, Molly Rhythm, and
Hub City Stompers.
Hub City Stompers. That's right.
All really great bands. It's going to be a cool lineup. Cool
Now,
night.
you're kind of like New Brunswick based, right?
For the most part.
We're
on me and Kevin are, but we're part of the Trenton Makes Takeover. Our bassist lives in Hamilton. Actually right in Trenton. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he lived
we
in
practice in Trenton, for the most part, once, twice a week. So
Do you?
we
Where at?
definitely have in Hamilton in Trenton
at his house?
At the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're
I don't know if it
Give
was
the
like
address.
X Studio 7A.
No,
or,
yeah, I'm not gonna blurt out his address.
Good
or
idea.
anything. But yeah, so we're there all the time. We play champs all the time, so we definitely have strong roots in Trenton. We also just played, but somewhat recently,
Mill
played
Hill
at
Basement,
Mill
right?
Hill Basement with Chuck and the Beige Americans. It's where we met them. Who's playing on July 14th. They're awesome, really cool band.
Yeah, there's been kind of a resurgence, and people who may be listening to this from, Trenton, so to speak, may disagree with me, but to me, I've kind of tried to keep my finger on the pulse of the Trenton music scene, and it's always in and out. Until recently, the Mill Hill Basement wasn't having any kind of consistent shows, or if they were, they weren't publicizing them. Right down the street, a block down the street, the Trenton Social, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. There is an open mic, sometimes there's a band on a Friday, sometimes. The only venues that had music were few and far between, and they were mostly cover bands. Champs and the Mill Hill and Social, they promote original music, and that's great. But it seems like more recently, over this past year, I would say that the Trenton music scene's starting to bubble again to the surface, and that's thanks to people like your dad who write about it. You know?
There was also those awesome festivals until the recent
Art All Night.
Art All
tragedy
Night,
struck Art All Night.
Yeah,
we
we-
played that show last year.
We were supposed to play
at
this year.
around the time that happened this year. We were supposed to play the next day this year. It was really a fantastic event, unfortunately highlighted by said tragedy, but
I
we
played
hope
it
that it
6 years
continues to
ago.
go. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
6 years ago, I played at like 11 o'clock in the morning on the outside stage.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
was-
What was the other one they put? Punk Rock Flea Market was another
Punk
one
Rock
they
Flea
put on.
Market.
Yeah, they do
I
that in
live,
the same place.
I live
Same
right
guy,
next door to
same
Joe.
place.
That's Art's
Yeah,
neighbor.
you live next door to Joe.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, he's a great guy. He put us on. He put on that Mill Hill show that we were on Chalk and Beige Americans with. So
Right.
every
Yeah,
show we
he
played
does
with
that-
him is a good one.
Was that the Thursdays? He does the Thursdays at Mill Hill Park.
Was
and if
that a
not, they go to
Thursday?
War Memorial if the
remember.
weather's bad.
I don't remember what day of the week it was, but
Usually it's
Oh, wow.
Thursdays. He does the whole concert series thing on Thursdays in Mill Hill
Oh,
Park.
in Mill Hill
outside.
Park, yeah.
And
Paul Plummer, I was just
And
saying.
if the weather's not good, then it gets moved to the War Memorial.
Oh, I didn't know that.
All right.
I know I know the Levitt Amp concert series is
Right,
there
that's
as
it.
well.
Yep,
so
yep.
they got that grant again this year. Do you find that it's, music, I think, in a lot of ways, with places like the Mill Hill Basement and, Champs, it's kind of an underground scene again in certain areas and certain things, like it was in New Brunswick back in the 80s, late 70s and early 80s. Did you find it hard to get gigs?
well, I guess it depends on where you are, considering the underground sentiment of it. But since to be honest, we became a band, like a full band, in August, and we started playing shows 2 weeks later, and
Wow.
kind of didn't let the kind of never lifted the finger off the button since. We've played a few less shows this year, but that was by choice because we're working on the new album. We haven't had trouble getting shows. I would say the social media has kind of changed everything in that aspect. It's not hard to reach venues per se, but it's despite the fact that you have such a wide variety of people at your finger, so does everybody else.
Right.
So the key is standing out, I would say. And venues have always kind of reached out to us, so I haven't found that it's been that troubling.
Okay, good for you. I mean, because, Cornish was talking about go see cover bands and try to pick up on certain things that they do or don't do and use that as you write your original music. And as much as I agree with that, with what he's saying, there's just so few venues they're nowhere near like when I was a young musician. You could work 7 nights a week in Trenton if you wanted as a musician. And a lot of people did.
Right.
Because there were that many live music venues. I used to do the column for the Trentonian that a guy by the name of Duffy did back in the late 70s and early 80s. It was called Night Scene. And it was, he published it every Thursday, and it covered Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That was it. There was nothing about Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, but it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Thursday nights, Friday nights for the weekend. Yeah. And you would open up the centerfold of the Trentonian newspaper, and it would just be nothing but ads for bars down both sides. And sometimes you'd flip a page and it would also be there. That's even before you got to his column, where his column would start on that first page and end somewhere on the third or fourth page. Me, they said, I said, well, how much, space do I get? You get about a quarter page, depending on how much. Quarter page? And they wanted me to do listings of all the local bars, but, eventually they gave me like half. But, because they wanted the listings more than they wanted the actual articles. But who knows? If you're just tuning in, this is Rock On Radio. You can follow us on Facebook at Danny Coleman's Rock On Radio 2. Or Twitter, Rock On Radio, all one word, all caps. I have engineer Art in studio. We have Sam, and we have Claire is here, as we are all here for Kevin and Matt of Experiment 34, 609-241-7103. Excuse me, if I get choked up about that. If you want to give us a call, and we'll put you on the air with questions or comments. You guys want to do another tune?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Another one live?
Sure. Yeah.
There you go.
Sure.
All right.
We got a couple prepared for you, so.
Okay, that's good.
This one is called Deep Blue. This was actually the first song Kevin and I ever recorded, and it's how we found our bassist. We posted on social media. There was no bass in the recording. It was kind of like, you need a bassist. We're like, yeah. So that's how that this was back when we were still the Strangers. So this is definitely our oldest song. Yeah, that's the story with that.
Experiment 34 here.
Deep in the distance, alone at night, on the eve of your visit, is a glow outside. It begs, it pleads, is calling my name. Get down on your knees like a moth to a flame, and I'm sailing on up away from thee, and I'm sailing on out to sea. I'm the captain, sinking down in the pits. I'm the captain goes down with the ship. Whoa. The blue in your blood, stay safe inside. The fool is in love, he's holding on tight. And I fight till I'm sore. Is it all in my head? It burns to the core. A dangerous red. I'm flying on out, away from the lights. I'm flying on out into the sky. I'm the pilot, a crash and burn in the lake. I'm the pilot, dies with the plane. Whoa. Sailing on out to sea. I'm the captain, sinking down in the pits. I'm the captain was down with the ship, and I'm flying on out, away from the lights. I'm flying on out into the sky. I'm the pilot, a crash and burn in the lake. I'm the pilot, dies with the plane. Whoa.
Experiment 34 here on Rock On Radio. Nice. I like it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And that's from your first disc?
Or is
it not on
that's
there?
not even on an official EP of Experiment 34. That was just something we cooked up when we were first, jamming together.
It was the bait.
The bait, right? It was the bait. Back when we were the strangers with a period.
Yeah.
I see. What do you think of that, Art?
I thought it was pretty good, man.
Cool.
I like it.
Thank you.
Pretty good is definitely better than pretty
That's
awful.
great.
so.
It was awesome.
It had a nice beat.
I had to go back and just see how it sounded live on the radio.
Live on
It
the
sounds
radio.
very good.
Excellent.
Awesome.
That's what
Cool.
we like to hear.
Excellent.
So, now you guys, I know you've only been together for 4 years, which on one hand probably seems like a long time.
Yeah, I was just thinking. He said only to me. It feels like a long time.
Which, probably feels like a long time, but others,
Sure.
it's basically a drop in the bucket.
I guess
40
when you
years
think
is
about it.
Right. I like
Fair enough.
look at Cornish calling here tonight, still doing it with
Right,
Felix
right.
Cavalieri,
Yeah.
50
72
years
still
later.
rocking.
Right.
24.
Well, one of the things that Gene said to me on the phone when him and I were talking on Friday was, he's like, I'm 74 years old. Let's face it, I don't have a lot of time left, but I can do this as long as I want. I don't have to stop until my body says I can't.
That's true.
And it's right. Being a musician is probably the only job you can have where you can do it as long as you want.
Yeah, like a Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right?
to be together
Do we
for
have to?
over 50 years, most marriages don't last that long.
Yeah.
50 days.
50 days.
No, we've had, I've had bands in here been together. Crypt Keeper 5 was in here last week.
25?
20.
25 years. They've
yeah.
been 20 years as the Crypt Keeper 5,
Yeah.
but they were together under a different name or met
That's-
different members for 5 years before they evolved into that.
Yeah. That's a
know?
really long time.
Yeah. No, I mean it is if you know you think about it. It's really funny. My first band, and I mean odd, funny, not ha 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 funny. I mean, but what I find odd is my very first band that I was ever in. We weren't the greatest musically, but we had a great stage presence. We had a great personality. The 3 or 4 guys up front. There were 5 of us, and they were like the cute guys. I was a drummer. I was stuck in the back. And
What does that say?
it says I'm stuck in the back,
Ah.
not stabbed in the back.
No.
Stuck in
Just
the
the
back.
cute kids were up
Okay,
front.
The cute kids were up front. Well, you tell me.
those guys?
But yet, and we were only together 4 years when we were in high school, freshman year through senior year. And I was the first to leave the band. Yet, I'm still connected to those guys. Over the years, I've jammed with 2 of them. We went out as a trio and did some things, and were very successful there, playing bars and local clubs, private clubs and things. And we got a lot of work, and it was great. But, as you grow older, or as you grow out of a situation, so to speak, you go your separate ways. But yet, my strongest connection is still to those guys I was in this band with in high school. I don't know if that's because they were the very first band I was ever in. I was 13 when I started jamming with them, turned 14 a couple weeks later. And I had to beg my mother to let me go to this gig that they were doing. And, because she basically thought I was going to, rock and roll was going to lead me down a path of destruction and drugs. And but
She was right.
I was going to say.
yeah, I've never done a drug in my life, ever. I didn't even drink until I was legal. Well,
Legal,
6
really?
months before I turned 18. So I had my first drink of alcohol. Except
Some
for
of
that
us- Some
incident.
of us can make that claim.
Except for that time that incident when I was 9.
Right.
With my dad. That's a whole other story. I smoked at 4, drank at 9. Yeah, that's it. That's why I do neither of those. No, wait, I drank. That's why I can't do it.
And you don't smoke?
I don't smoke. The occasional cigar. Right?
Just occasional?
I'm smoking one now.
It's a candy cigar.
It's a candy
Remember
cigar.
Bubblegum cigar. But, I still feel that attachment to those guys because that was the greatest. High school is supposed to be the time of your life, so to speak. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people were bullied. A lot of people didn't take away good memories. But those 4 years, because those 4 guys went to the local Catholic high school, and I went to a public high school. So we were drawing from both schools, and it was great, but I'm still connected to them. Now, this wasn't your first band with you guys. Do you feel a connection like that with anybody from your past or anything
Yeah.
that keeps you in music?
Definitely. I think I was 15. Yeah, I was 15, and I was in a band called Mean Venus, and the other guys in the band were about late 30s, 40, and I was friends. I'm still friends with him. I was friends with my friend, obviously my friend, and his dad was in the band, but he left, and he was the lead guitarist. So I kind of replaced him as the lead guitarist.
Okay.
And I definitely had some big shoes to fill because he was
Because he was
probably the greatest guitarist. Yeah, that too. But he was like the best guitarist I knew at the time. And like just the fact that I was able to kind of fill his shoes, it definitely gave me confidence as a musician, as a 15-year-old, to play these impressive guitar parts. And we ended up playing with Skid Row, King's X at Starland. And that was like my biggest show until we started playing with Experiment 34.
Yeah, Sebastian.
Yeah. You like model trains?
We played with Sebastian Bach on the same stage as him at
Yeah.
Rock and Derby, and people kept saying, "You like?" Oh no, he said
You
right
like
during
model
the,
trains.
"You like model trains?" And at the time, I had no idea what he was talking about. And then it was on that show, Trailer Park Boys.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on that
He was
show.
on that show, and he says it, and I guess that was like a big thing with his fans. But he said it, and I was like, "What did you just say?" He's asked us if we like model trains.
I'm trying to find. I've got it in here somewhere. At least I thought I did. I may have lost it. Shoot, when it got transferred, I'd have to listen because I thought I had his name on it. but Sebastian Bach. I was supposed to interview him one time. And I was going to play the voicemail because I always say I'm going to really play that voicemail. And now I can't. It's not on my phone for some reason. But
I think you talked about that last time too.
yeah, he was. I mean, yeah, Sebastian Bach. You were supposed to like interview me 4 hours ago. Yeah, dude. I know you're on the West Coast, but come on. It was pretty funny because he remembers when my daughter was young, and she's 22 now, soon to be 23. The show that she used to watch, the cartoon, was on Nickelodeon, was Fairly Odd Parents.
Okay.
And there was an alien that came down. He looked like he was in one of those clocks you see on top of a fireplace. What are they with the domes on them? You know the kind of clocks I'm talking about?
Yep.
But he was like an
know
octopus.
the name.
His name was Mark, and he talked like Sebastian Bach. And every time I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is Mark, and we're going to make you eat chocolate. You know, I'm like, that's Sebastian Bach, man.
Probably was.
All right. How about you, Matt?
This actually is my first band. So
Oh,
I
really?
was an
Okay.
actor long before I was into music. Since I was like 8 years old, I've been an actor.
Okay.
But then
I was unaware. Did I know that? I didn't know that.
I don't know. I went to school. I was a BFA in acting at Montclair State University, and
Okay.
since I was like 15, 16, I've been writing poetry and lyrics and things like that, and started putting them together with a friend at Montclair. We weren't really in a band, but I was just experimenting with it, and then I really fell in love with that. Ended up kind of leaving acting for music because I just felt more drawn to it, and met Kevin. Even though we lived like 5 minutes from each other, I actually met Kevin online on a
That's right. You
dating
live
website.
like
I mean,
across
not
the
a
street
dating
or something,
website.
right?
Yeah, it was a town over, but
Yeah,
Town
in
over.
South River and East Brunswick, and now
Real close.
Okay.
he's in New Brunswick.
Sort of like me with Hamilton and Trenton.
yeah.
Right, exactly, exactly. And we met up and been kicking it ever since. So,
Okay.
so yeah, I'm still pretty drawn to my first band.
I guess
Thankfully.
stuck there.
Good
Now-
answer.
Right? Now, when you guys are on, I mean, I've been through a lot as a musician over the years, and I've seen some things that are like, I've had to shake my head and say, did that just really happen? You know, when you guys are on stage, now I know, granted, it will be depending on, you know, there's a different vibe at the Saint than there is at the Stone Pony. There's a different vibe at the Wonder Bar than there is, you know, at like Asbury Lanes. You know, there's differences in things. There's a different vibe at the Mill Hill than Champs, you know.
Right, yeah.
When you guys are on stage, or depending on the venue, I know, what goes through your mind when it's one of them slow nights?
Slow nights meaning like
Like not a lot of people, you know.
We
I
still
mean,
play
yeah,
as if the room is packed, you know?
And you have to.
Yeah.
We go hard in practice. I mean, personally, I'm not one of those singers who's like, I'm saving my voice tonight. Like, no, we don't. We go hard. If we're playing hard.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said off of, you know, fan energy, audience energy. If there's like at the Stone Pony when we opened for 311, there was a lot of people at that. There was a, you know.
It was packed.
Raw. There's like a certain natural raw energy that comes from that. But you know, on a slow night, I would like to think you'd never know it by our set, because we try to go hard as we can all the time.
Every time.
Now, what about a good night?
Good night is
We
better.
You're going
Well-
hard, and there's people in front of you.
There's a guy from this local music scene. Actually, he lives down a little further south in Burlington County. This fellow by the name of Joe Vidala. Now, Joe is an incredible guitarist, incredible vocalist. He's the guy that started the Best of the Eagles tribute band. I don't know if you guys have ever seen or heard them. And Joe, I've done a few gigs with Joe, and it was like, you know, pinch me. You know what I mean? He's just that talented.
Yeah.
But back in the 70s and early 80s, he was in a band called Joey and the Works, which was the house band at the Pony for X number of years. He was also in La Bamba and the Hubcaps, but that's a whole different thing. And I remember Joe saying to me, he's like, you know, Danny, he said, you always knew when Bruce was in the house, because Bruce jumped up and played with them quite a few times during that time period.
Yeah.
He says, you always knew when Bruce was in the house, we'd be having a great night and thinking, yeah, this is really great. And then all of a sudden he shows up and the energy level just goes through the roof, and he said, it's just so hard to explain, how that psychs you guys up, how it psychs a musician up. If you're not a musician, you really...
I think like Bruce Springsteen, he just has it, like, obviously he has it. He's how old? Like, he's gotta be
68.
late 60s,
Yeah,
right?
68.
And he's still playing.
Right.
He just all over. Yeah, he's doing around the world.
I think like Vinny's 60.
On Broadway.
Yeah. He's
Yeah, they're all
around
about the
Vinny's
same
age.
about
age.
the same
Yeah, they're
age,
all
yeah.
about the same age. Well, that group.
Yep. So I mean, there's that energy that's always brought, And if you're a working band, and what I mean by a working band is, as I was alluding to earlier, in the late '70s and early '80s in Trenton, you could work 7 nights a week, but you were working. You would come on at 9 o'clock and you would play till 1:30. You were working 4.5 hours, 40 on, 20 off, 45 on, 15 off, whatever it was you were doing. Yeah. And there was usually a bar owner. Come on, guys, let's go. I'm not paying you to sit around. I'm not paying you to talk to your girlfriend. There was always somebody giving you a hard time. But you worked. Granted, probably for the same amount of pay you're making now, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
You worked. There were no like 45-minute showcase sets with 5 other bands. That wasn't the way it was. Bands were very competitive. We all knew each other, but they were very competitive for the spots that were open, because there were, let's say 16 trillion bands, but there were only like 15 trillion bars. So, there was only a trillion
fight to
people.
get in.
Correct. And you had to hold that spot.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to do well. So there was kind of like when you play, some of these showcase sets. Well, you want to play this bar, but you only brought like 10 people, so we're not going to ask you to come back.
Yeah. It's still like that.
It's definitely
Right.
still like that for sure.
So that's the whole thing. So like, what do you guys do as far as marketing Experiment 34?
We
You gotta
yeah.
come see me. Come
closer.
closer. Closer.
What do we do?
What do
We-
we do?
How do you stand out? I mean, why should I go see Experiment 34?
Well, because we're here.
Obviously.
No.
Besides the obvious.
Word of mouth, social media. I mean, if you've ever seen our show, we're definitely a live act to catch.
We have a great live show. Yeah.
That's
High
part.
energy.
Definitely, the energy is there. We've been told that a lot, and definitely feel that energy and try and impart that energy onto whoever's there with us. Social media does make marketing a little bit easier, because it's just, once you send that out there, it's in the eyes of many people. When we play in Asbury Park a lot, we'll do a little flyering. However we can, basically. When we played at the Stone Pony, actually, I'm sure playing with 311 didn't hurt, but we went on Craigslist, and that was a definite. That definitely had a lot of influx. We kind of advertised on there. We're like, hey, check out what we got going on. Half price tickets, 311. That was a definite good marketing strategy we imparted. But yeah, I mean, basically just wherever the show is at, you got people in mind that that are there. Definitely hit them up first and go from there.
Well, and even there too, like you were saying earlier, Matt, you've got there's so much traffic out there, internet-wise, that, I always laugh when I first started this show. I would before I was severely limited by Facebook, I would just go down, if I had at the time maybe 3,000 friends, let's say, I would just go down and click until I invited whoever would let me invite them. And some of them would be in like Florida. You do know I live in Florida. Well, you do know if you read the event, it's on the internet. You can listen to it from Florida, So, then Facebook started coming up with that whole...
500.
They limit me. Actually, I got away with the last 2 weeks. I got away with inviting several hundred people. But, I have almost 5,000 friends. Why am I only allowed to invite 300 over the last 2 weeks? Of course, they want you to pay to promote.
Right.
But there's no, you can give them the $5 or whatever it is, but there's no, you don't have proof positive that you're going to reach another 1,200 people. They may say so because people may look at the event. So, with the radio show, I kind of invite everybody. But when I do local gigs or I do my happy hour invites on Facebook, I always target it to the people that are in the area.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I love it. I mean, I love my musician friends down the Jersey Shore, but I'm really not going to drive to Keyport, at 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. You know what? Save that for somebody that's a little closer to you. I mean, I'm glad, you want to tell me you got a gig, private message me or whatever, and I'll let you know that I can or can't make it.
There's also like a lot of shows, like if you
oversaturate, that
Oh, yeah. I get invited to 30, 40, 50, sometimes 70 events a week.
and you got to pick one of those.
Or
Yeah.
2 or 3, whatever
Yeah.
I can do in a weekend, and I
Yeah.
haven't always been able to do that either. So, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. You guys want to do another tune?
Yeah,
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
So we could either play this one live, or you could play it. It's Cut the String. I don't know if you'd rather
The new
hear
single?
The new single.
That's totally up to you, whatever you want us to do.
Yeah, we're prepared
play
to
this
play
too.
it.
You want to play it live?
I think we should play the recorded version.
All right,
the
yeah.
recorder
So
version?
this is our new
Okay.
single.
Once Art has that queued up, we'll go with that. 609-241-7103 if you want to give us a call this evening. Here on Rock On Radio, we will gladly put you on air with questions or comments. Talk with Experiment 34 or Engineer Art, or she'll kill me, but Sam will gladly answer all
Yeah,
of your
Sam would
questions.
answer a lot of questions. Call in.
For the next
You'll win
caller,
something.
Sam will answer the phone.
Sam will answer
right.
the phone.
What can we give away? We can. Do you guys bring any discs with you, by any chance?
They're in Kevin's car, and we took my car.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I have them in my car. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
we
yeah,
have
if
some
we brought
discs
mine.
with
So
me.
we may have a disc or two to give away if we could find them in somebody's
Absolutely.
car. And we have the Rock On Radio lube. We have bumper stickers. We have, I don't know what else I have. We'll find out.
I have regular stickers as well.
There you go. Regular Experiment 34 stickers. You have it, Art? All right. This is, you want to talk about this tune a little bit before we put it on the air?
Sure. It is, it's a song about kind of modern day media. Don't believe necessarily everything you see on TV. It's just kind of a wake up call to what we've been witnessing and what's in the news and whatnot. So.
Okay. Experiment 34 and their song called Cut the String.
Another white boy thinking he's Jesus, shooting up a school, he's taking out of pieces. The teachers are running, screaming, call the police, but the cameras show up first to spread the disease. The young his mama likes to drink, he sits in front of the screen. His growing brain absorbs the pain, and so he does what he sees. 6 years later, brainwashed and gunning. The ratings go up, now they benefit from it. Snapping in your face, I'm gonna break the chain. The master's right there, sing a dance, monkey dance. Snapping in your face, I'm gonna break the chain. The master's right there, singing dance monkey, dance monkey. Unhealthy rap season and the cat takes advantage. Just giving it in hits, but the rats are savage, are ravaging her body till she cried and she bled. Then he beat her over the head until he beat her to death. 2 kids a block away, have no mother now. No one asks how they feel, living in the wrong town. Mama never did come back from the market. No thoughts for the family, and nobody profits. Snapping in your face, I'm gonna break the chain. The master's right there, sing a dance, monkey dance. Snapping in your face, I'm gonna break the chain. The master's right there, sing a dance, monkey dance. Dance like you're attached to a monkey dance. Snapping in your face, I'm gonna break the chain. The masters wave their hands, sing a dance monkey dance. Dance, your face, I'm gonna dance to a string. Dance, like you're attached to a string. The masters dance, like you're attached to a string. Dance, like you're attached to a string. Dance, your face, I'm gonna dance to a string. Dance, like you're attached to a string. The masters dance, like you're attached to a string. Dance, cut the string.
Sorry, Art. I just put the headphones back on when you made that, whatever it is you said. I did not hear a word you said. What did you say?
10 seconds.
10 seconds, but you were right on cue, so
Oh, okay.
it doesn't really matter.
Hey, I did something right.
There you go.
So who's the principal songwriter for you guys?
We all kind of write it together, but we wrote that one. That was like 4 years ago, probably. We were going to play an open mic, and then he came. I went over to his house beforehand because we were going to just rehearse a little bit, and then he said, "I got this cool rap," and then he told me like the feel of it, and then he started rapping, and I just kind of came up with the chord progression, and then just rolled from there. That was. Okay.
We're pretty much responsible for our parts, I would say. I mean, there's been songs where Johnny comes up with the bass line first, we build around that. There's been songs where Kevin comes up with the guitar at first, we build around that. And I'll be like, oh, I got something to that, totally. Or I'll come in with like, hey, I just wrote this cool song, let's see if we can build around that. Typically, that's how it works. Whoever comes in with the material, we're ready to go. You know, whoever we try not to say, no, you know what, I'm stuck on this. I'm not feeling it. Like we try to mold the song to a place where it's all of ours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where you contribute equally, and even if it's unequally, you know that everybody's got their hand, their fingerprint in there somewhere.
Yeah.
When I'm writing a song, it's not always necessarily how it's going to come out. How after they've kind of wrote their thing, I'll be like, you know what, this is going to be a whole different feel now, and you know, roll with that. And you know, usually it's even better when it's a contribution on multiple people's parts.
Do you guys ever have brainstorming sessions where you all get together and say, look, I got this new music, or do you just
sometimes
bring it
we
to
just
practice?
jam?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that'll lead to it. We'll be like, oh, wow, I really like that. Let's continue with that.
Yeah.
And we used to do the brainstorming sessions more last year. Now we're kind of recording those said sessions.
Right.
So
Okay.
more recording, less creating of late, but we'll get back into that very soon.
All right.
I mean, I still write a lot. I'd say I write a little more this year since I did last year, because all those ideas from last year, like what Matt said, are being recorded now. So I'm kind of thinking ahead in the future of the next album, if there is a next album.
The next wave.
Yeah, nah, I'm already gotten ideas for that album. So
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even finished this one yet. I'm ready to go on that one. So.
Okay, well,
We just got to hold everything in and then
there's
blow it out.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as long as you have as long as the creative juices are flowing and you're able to do it. I remember one of the things that I remember. I've been fortunate enough to interview Melissa Etheridge. Okay, and she said to me, the hardest thing for me is to sit down and make a new album that doesn't sound like the last two albums. You know, that difference between style and repetition. You know, when you hear certain bands, you know that's their style.
Yeah.
You can tell either by the vocal or the guitar parts or the drums.
Yeah.
Something is, oh, wow, that sounds like that could be the new stuff, from the Stones or from, Zeppelin or from whoever.
Yeah.
The Chili Peppers. I mean, the Chili Peppers have a style.
Definitely have their
Yeah.
sound.
Flea has his own, the driving bass, the that's the Chili Peppers when you hear it. But not all their stuff sounds the same.
And I think that's good because it adds
really important.
variety.
Right. So, she said to me, the hardest thing to do is to sit down, and every album I start out, they're all different from the last one. And halfway through, I start playing them back, and it's like, I just wrote that album 2 albums ago.
I think that's just her kind of judging herself, being her own
Worst critic, like
Yeah.
most of us musicians are.
Yeah.
But what she did with her acoustic disc, she's on tour right now. I'm not sure if it's for a new one or still the same one, but the disc that she had put out, what she did was she took all the songs, played them her way. She sent one to a rapper, one to a metal guy, one to a classic rock guy, and said, what do you have? What can you do with these tunes? And then she took a little bit from each of them and created this album that was hers with their influences.
That's awesome.
You know, and I saw her at the Basie, actually. And she was great. She was, you know, fantastic. But, you know, she was looking outside of herself, outside of the box, so to speak, to find ways to make music that was still hers, but
Make it feel fresh.
right, you know, because she recognized, and kudos to her for recognizing as an artist
Yeah,
that,
that's really smart.
you know, she needed to make a change so that she remained viable, and she did, and she's still selling out. She was just at Parks Casino over in Ben Salem. She sold it
really?
out, you know. So
That sounds familiar. Do we see Clutch there? Or was
Parks,
that
Yeah.
somewhere else? Was
they have that
there?
brand new Excite Center. It's called.
No, we went to
XCIT.
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem. That's right. Bethlehem.
Clutch. Who were they with? Bush.
A mariachi band.
They had a.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, that was different.
It was awesome. Like
It was,
Was it Metalachi?
pretty cool.
no, it was just
Just a mariachi
Yeah,
band?
just-
Yeah, it was a
mariachi.
legit mariachi band, but it wasn't just a mariachi band. They had a rapper too. So
Well,
there's
they
a
were
guy
touring with Bush for a
rapping
while.
over a mariachi.
Were they?
Weren't they, Clutch?
That
I don't
sounds
remember.
familiar. I don't know though, but that does sound familiar.
Or maybe they're going to be at that one of those big festivals like Rocklahoma or something.
They're probably
and
gonna be
all in
there.
the same.
Yeah,
that's
they
maybe
do
that's
stuff
where I
like
saw
that
it.
all the time. Yeah.
that was a great night though.
Yeah.
We
that was oh my god. Yeah.
we went to the casino after seeing Clutch, and I was gonna gamble because you know you're at a casino. You know what? I
You
don't
never
have,
really had you? I don't. Not much.
every time I had, I would have. Well, I lost a lot of money. Not a lot of money, but a lot of money to me. So we sat at a table that we thought was blackjack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we sat down, and there's this other guy at the end,
And he looked like he had been struggling all
yeah,
night.
he looked really stressed.
And we just
But
came down.
that's
and
just
messed
everybody
up
at a
his vibe.
casino.
Right.
So we sat down, and this lady hands us 3 cards, and then we
We're
all
like-
look at each other, and we're like,
This is not blackjack.
blackjack.
Was it Hold'em?
Turned out we were. It was.
Pie guy poker.
three card poker or something.
It wasn't.
I
It
don't
wasn't
even
Texas Hold'em. It was 5-card poker, and then you get. So we start out with 3, then you get 1, then you get 1. So 5-card poker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
5-card
had
stud. something,
I
whatever it's
looked at my
called.
cards, and I had a 4, 3, and a 5, and I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm just gonna
Yeah, let's
I'm gonna
play.
gamble. You know, I'm gonna leave right after this. And she looks at everybody's cards. Everybody who gambled in the band won some kind of money, and then she looked at mine and she was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Is that good?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then she started handing me all these chips, and I was like,
He didn't even know.
Yeah,
we
we
were
gambled
just like staring at these chips.
I gambled like $20 or something, and I got 140.
There
Which
you
is
go.
awesome.
Nice.
See?
And I said, "What do I do?" And
You
she
pulled
said,
it straight.
"She said, leave."
Yeah, me and Johnny won
Good
20.
advice.
Kevin won 140. She's like, leave, get out of here. And the guy that had been losing all night,
He
he's
took my
just
seat.
staring at us.
Yeah.
And he's-
Oh,
Yeah, he
yeah.
took my
Right.
seat.
I did that my one time in Vegas. I won like $5,000 my second day
Wow.
there. They brought me like one of those whole little things with the chips just for me. Got to carry it. It was awesome.
Wow, that's a win.
That's a,
That was
About
the only time
140
in my
was
entire life. So it was
I've only
awesome.
gambled once. I lost $32, and I quit while I was behind.
that was the last time I gambled, so I ended on a high note.
Kind of an odd number there.
I'll never forget it. I don't know why. Experiment 34. I lost 32. I don't know.
32.
No one knows.
Stars are
32.
aligning.
Is
I
that
walked away with
possible?
$8. I think I went down with 40.
Go to the slots.
You know,
It was
it's
a very traumatic moment in my life, I guess. I don't know.
I've played Parks Casino a couple of times, actually 4 times, and I've never gambled there yet. I haven't gambled. Atlantic City, I used to go on bus trips through an organization I belong to, and
Seniors?
That wasn't even from me.
wow.
Nothing to do with me.
Shots fired.
That was really good, though, Art.
Have you ever seen me
Those
on that bus that
retirement
you take with your father?
I'm going this Thursday. Tropicana. We leave at 9 o'clock.
And I came out ahead one time from Atlantic City. It's because I hit the 50-50 on the bus. $13.75
There you go.
Oh, and I'm sorry. And why do you remember that?
because it's the only time I ever came out ahead in Atlantic City.
Okay, so why can't I remember $32?
I didn't say you can't.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying 32 is an odd number to lose when you gamble.
Oh, 13 point whatever you.
It's a 50-50. I have no control over that.
He's not saying
Lord.
you can't think it. He's just saying you're weird for it.
Oh, right. And so is he.
No,
That's my
I'm
point
saying
is that he's just as
that's,
weird.
No, not you. That's a weird amount
Oh, it is.
to lose.
Yes.
32
Yes.
dollar slots, I guess. Like, oh, I got $2 here. You go.
Well, I lost 40 and then I got 8 back and I thought I really should just leave.
Oh, okay. See now how the truth comes out once you pry a little bit.
Well, it's more the memory. I think it's been 25 years ago. Not so long.
I go with people on a senior trip. They spend the money they get from the casino when they get there, and that's it.
Well, I found
Yeah.
myself wanting to go to the ATM, and I'm like,
I'd be
oh, I
like,
gotta
I'd be
get outta
playing
here.
for like 10 minutes and walking around for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's it.
I've already, there more than once I lost the money in the first like hour and wound up, oh, God, I got 4 hours left. I go out on a bench and fall asleep.
To the
Be like,
Oh,
buffet.
you look a homeless guy.
like a homeless guy.
We're actually going to be playing in AC in September.
Are you? Where at?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you have coming up
we're-
for gigs?
Yeah. Well, we have July 14th, as we mentioned
Right.
a couple of times, of course, at the Asbury Park Brewery. Then some
September 8th.
members in the band are going to be going away for a little bit. So our next gig is in September.
Yeah.
September 8th.
For Rock New Brunswick.
That's in New Brunswick. That's a really cool event. We played that 2 years ago, and then an after party event last year.
You said that like they're going to be taken into custody or something.
They might be. They might
never
be.
know.
So
You never know.
Where in New Brunswick?
I think it's Boyd
at
Park.
Boyd Park, yeah. Really cool
Oh,
public event.
yeah,
The river.
Free show.
Yes,
Front.
yes, yes.
Very cool.
I was with your father at the one last year.
Yep, that was last. Yeah, we played 2 years ago. Last year was a really cool show too, though. It was awesome.
all of the
And we're gonna be doing it again this year.
all of the local music journalists, all of the brain trusts were together in one spot.
Was that like risky?
Yeah.
What would happen if something happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, then no,
There's
there would be
nobody
no
left.
music
it's like
journalists left.
it's like the plane going down, you know.
Actually, no. Then you just have like the couple that write for the Aquarian or a couple of those other magazines. It was your dad, Bob Makin, was there, and I was there, and Jay Lustig was there, and Gary Ween was there. Who else was there? Sonia Schnee that from Jersey Indie was there.
Yeah, we spoke to her recently.
Yeah,
She's
I
really
mean,
cool.
There's the ones that matter. Were they?
If you do say so yourself.
That's right. Oh gosh, why don't we do some more music?
Well, we also got the Resurgence
Oh, okay.
Festival
Go
in
ahead.
Atlantic City.
Thought you were done.
It's the next week. We're not sure if we're playing on the 14th or the 15th yet, but it's going to be that weekend. The Resurgence
Atlantic
Festival is like a cycling festival. It's pretty
Okay.
big.
in September.
Yeah, gonna be cool.
Now, how'd you get that gig?
My Megan O'Shea hooked us up with that. She's
Ah.
upcoming promoter. She's doing a lot of really cool stuff.
Megan's starting to do a lot more, since she, since she joined. Did she leave the Rat? She's on Brookdale now, isn't she?
Brookdale, yeah.
Yeah.
90.5.
Since
I
she
think.
slid over to Brookdale, she's been doing. I love it. She's been doing a lot more songwriter rounds and circles and promoting of music, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's doing a lot of good
You
things.
know.
Yeah, and we appreciate her help on this gig. Looks like it's gonna be an awesome time.
Yep. I mean, I used to do that, like what Megan does. I used to do that a lot. Then a few years ago, was there somebody singing outside?
Outside,
they are
I think
going
it's a
hard.
live
It's
band that's
pretty
outside.
good.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't hear any music. I just hear vocals.
I hear just vocals.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Someone's just wailing away.
I've been
out the
hearing it on
window.
and off the whole show.
Maybe he's-
yeah, no, it's been outside.
I used
Oh,
to
there's
do,
the music.
I used to do like songwriter circles and things like that. And a few years back, I busted up my right knee, tore a meniscus, and then I was out of action for a while, and then kind of lost my job for a little bit, and things kind of were on the rough side.
Yeah.
For me, and now I got this stuff going on here with the elbow over the last few weeks. So, but I'll be back, and I want to get to some of Megan's shows. I want to, kudos to her, as I
Yeah.
said earlier, for doing that sort of thing. That's great.
Absolutely.
Can never have enough people putting it out there for original music.
More the merrier. Networking is the game.
Correct. And so, what did you discover out there?
Ice cream.
Ice
Man and his amp is out.
selling
the
ice cream
store.
Oh, in front of the
yeah,
ice cream store.
Little balloons.
He
and
sounds
these-
kind of like Dave Matthews.
Wow.
I think it is Dave Matthews.
Wow.
You know what?
Come
Right
on
here,
down to Hydetown.
heard
right
he's a
here
fan
is
of
where
ice cream.
we should just like take this show on the road and go across the
Yes.
street and start
Get ice
jamming with
cream.
it.
It's you too.
Probably.
I just gonna
That'd
play
be
ice cream.
something.
Wait,
Right?
is that Adam Sandler? I think Adam Sandler's here.
Our good friend, well, you guys might know. You know Bobby Strange? Did you know him before he moved out to Los Angeles?
No.
Asbury Park guy.
No, I don't think
Bobby
so.
and his wife Joyce are great people, and they just moved out to L.A., Burbank area, several years ago now.
Right.
And Bobby got a license, and he busks on the corner. And she goes to her day job for ABC or Disney, whoever she works for out there, and he busks on the corner. So there's always like
Makes like
famous-
$70,000 a year.
Yeah, right?
Exactly.
he does very well. And one day he was sitting there and he said he was just kind of jamming, and this guy come up and he's like, "Can I play your other guitar?" And he looks over, it's Keanu Reeves.
Wow.
He says like him and Keanu jam with him for like a half hour, threw him like some outrageous tip in his guitar case and walked off.
I've heard some awesome
So-
things about. He's a really cool, humble guy.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
heard some cool stuff about him.
So you never know who's going to show up or who's going to be at a gig for that matter, you know?
True.
That's why you got to give it your all.
Springwood was in here
Yeah,
a couple
right.
weeks ago,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Slim, my buddy Slim, Mike Thompson, the bass player, him and his wife were going down to Ocean Grove for the concert series to see like the Beach Boys or somebody were down there. And they're walking down the boardwalk between Asbury and Ocean Grove, and it's pretty desolate. You know, it's really, and there's this guy playing a guitar on a bench, and they both walked past him, and they looked at him, and smiled, and said hi, and they took like 5 or 6 steps, and they're like, was that? No way. Are you kidding? It was Kid Rock.
What?
What?
He was just in Asbury Park for something.
Kevin's guilty pleasure.
So they went back, started talking to him, and when they started talking to him, all of a sudden, all these people started, as they walked down, noticed who he was. You know, so they kind of blew his cover.
With
but
the
you know,
bah, the bang, the bang.
yeah, you never know who you're going to find.
That was that
And,
day that we went and interviewed David Cousins. Remember, they were heading to the Asbury Park boardwalk.
Yeah,
we were
right.
done with him.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
right. When we went to where the heck was that? Tom's River.
Yeah, Tom's right.
That's Kevin's dude, though, Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Kid Rock.
I
You
used
like
to listen
Kid
to
Rock?
that going to kindergarten every day.
No, really?
I swear. Yeah.
Man.
I know. That's why I was so angry as a kid.
I can't.
Funny. All right, let's get to some more music.
All right.
Cool.
Let's do that. We've got about 25 minutes or so left of the program. What do you?
I think we got 2 more jams prepared for you.
Oh, perfect.
You want us to just play them both? Or?
Well, it's up to you. You can play one now. You can play one in 10 minutes.
Sure.
Spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, we'll spread it out.
That sounded kind of mariachi there too for Zion.
Yeah.
Little Esteban. Right?
Yeah. Like, yeah. Well, you know.
Oh, we're ending with that.
What do you
Whoa. If you're just tuning in, this is Rock On Radio. These guys are Experiment 34, and
We are playing Well You Know. This is off the new album.
there you go.
This revolution will be televised. Your discretion is advised. A strong word to the weak. Avert your eyes. The young mothers grow weep into the daughter's cries. These young fathers start to steal the peace. So see who tries. I'm forced to feel the demise. Eliza search of better men. A severing the brethren of heaven and the president, a resident of evil. Now I'm dining in hell. A body to the people that are hiding in a cell. A cry for those that pray to a spirit that fell. A reason for the demons to go and rebel. To tell me first what's worse. A herb of verse to a mercy of a curse. To search, cause animosity lurks. We die more and more each day. Why do the children stop there? Hey, I'm falling faster and faster, but we'll make a sound until there's no one left to say. We die more and more each day. Why do the children stop there? Hey, I'm falling faster and faster, but we'll make a sound until there's no one left to say. This revolution will be televised, so dry them tears. What has the system instilled besides a level of fear? You can blame a black, blame a white, and stone or queer, but you can. They the facts, try to fame me, draw peers. Well, I'm here. Look, call out every single ignorant hypocrite. Speak if you're fluent, or write it down if you're literate. Or was committed, figure it. Your sentence is legitimate, and never let it go. If you love it, just a little bit. Be rigorous against the big timers and superfluous. Calm if it gets you blessed, strong if it gets you pissed. Feel the fist up in your back, you feel this, feel that. Keep a level, let it take the best aristocrats. It could be your last day, better make it count. What's the point of pain if the love is not around? I'm just a bad dog, and I'm off to rule the pound. You're the king of your world, and you can borrow my crown. We die more and more each day. Why do the children stop their play? I'm falling faster and faster, but won't make a sound until there's no one left to say. We die more and more each day. Why do the children stop their play? I'm falling faster and faster, but won't make a sound until there's no one left to say. Oh, do you want it? Stop there, oh, I'm falling faster and faster, but won't make a sound until there's no one left to say. Die more and more each day. Why do the children stop there? Oh, I'm falling faster and faster, but won't make a sound until there's no one left.
I love cold endings. That's
Thank
great.
you.
You know, that's fantastic. I like that too.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I love the music. I love
like
the guitar.
Thank you.
Driving, you know.
We actually wrote that song for the 24-hour songwriting competition through Speaking to My Good Eye.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they do that. They did it. Was it third time this year? It's like the third annual.
I think
this year.
one coming up will be the fourth. We did the second, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and then we were just sitting in our trailer that we used to have, writing that song, and yeah, we just came up with that riff, and we wrote it acoustically, but it's actually like one of our heavier songs too.
Yeah,
which is pretty awesome.
that it's more crooning when it's acoustic, but that revolution part is a super scream typically.
Yeah, that bridge goes into like a halftime, like a down, 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 down. I can't really do it, but
You'll hear it.
That's why you play guitar.
It's gonna be one of the ones being released relatively soon, so it's gonna be the next one that's ready. So
I missed the
Nice.
beginning, but what was it called?
it's called Well You Know.
Well, you know.
like the Beatles song
You say
Revolution.
you want a revolution, well you know.
Yeah,
Cool. Nice.
so we
And there
kind
you
of
have
stole it.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. Excuse me. Let's go back a few seconds. We were sitting.
That's
That
a
was
whole,
me
that's
doing
a
a
whole new
rewind
cease
sound.
and desist.
Yeah, right. We were sitting around in the trailer we used to own.
Yes.
Now, would this be like a trailer you would find in a trailer park? Would this be a landscape
Maybe
trailer that like has lawnmowers on it,
This would be
or would this be like a trailer you pull
Recreational.
behind like an RV home?
yeah.
Right. Well, it attaches. It did attach to Kevin's truck. We took it to Austin for like South by Southwest tour.
Nice.
Yeah, it was scary.
We used to do. yeah, it was.
Was it a silver
interesting.
line? One of them old silver
It
ones that
was
are long like a
It
tube?
Maverick. Mallard, a 2000
yeah.
Mallard. Yeah,
Nice.
And it was
It slept all of us.
it was like
so-
50. No, it was like 30 feet long.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yep.
We've never really towed before, so.
And the first place
And you
we
drove
took
to
it,
Texas?
the first place we took it was to Albany, and we didn't have what's that?
The weight distribution.
There's a weight distribution system.
Oh, yeah.
We had never done it before, and so that was a rickety
it was
ride.
it was
It was
moving
going all
over
over the place. We were like,
You
oh
were the
my
ones
God.
on YouTube when they show those.
Yeah.
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 So
We
the
were
one
worried
when
about
we took it way further to Texas,
We had to get
we got the weight distribution, and it wasn't as bad, but it was way longer.
Yeah.
But we used to also make videos that's all over our YouTube called
Trailer
Trailer
Sessions.
Sessions. We've since sold the trailer though. So
Yeah. There was a lot of problems with it.
We're thinking we want to get an actual RV.
So that's my question though too. Like,
Or
so
bus.
I looked at your YouTube channel, and so do you do like the whole Rhett and Link kind of thing? Like, do you do your own little like, or do you
Skits?
just or do you
Some,
just
yeah, there's a
do-
lot of on those trailer sessions. There's a lot
Okay.
of like blooper skits,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
More
We
entertainment.
turned the
for
camera
y'all.
on for about an hour, and we do the song maybe twice or 3 times,
Okay.
and then like the rest is just us just messing
Us
around.
messing around, messing up, and,
Okay.
and trying to be funny. And
Do you put all the
sometimes
whole hour
succeeding.
out there?
No.
Or you
No,
just you
yeah.
again, or
We take
yeah,
the best
yeah,
parts.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, because I have little girls, young teenagers, and they all do the Mythical Morning and whatever, Rhett and Link, and like so. But that's your YouTube channel,
Yeah.
so you kind of
Yeah.
develop that idea too.
Yeah. And then we
Right.
came up with trailer sessions because we started jamming there a lot, like acoustically. And we were like, let's just call it like trailer sessions or something cool. We'll come up with something else. And then trailer sessions just stuck.
Right. Can't call it that anymore.
It's gone. It's in Las Vegas, I think.
Trailerless.
Really? He took it to
He said he was moving out to Las Vegas with it.
Yeah, they could be
He
the
actually called me the
trailerless
other day.
session.
Trailerless sessions. Yeah.
I like that. That way we can continue it. I like that. Not bad.
Trailerless.
Hey, I'm useful once in a while.
Come on now.
I thought I said it first, but that's okay.
He said it louder.
He did.
I always say that to Kevin. Kevin will say a joke, but he's really quiet sometimes.
I am.
So then if I think it's funny, I'll
He'll
say it
steal it.
louder.
And then
Everyone will
everybody
crack
thinks
up. And then like, I just said that. I said it louder.
I'm a victim.
Like Charismatica.
Yeah.
Deja vu.
It's great that he's quiet because he can have all the genius and I can take all the credit.
There you go.
Ah, that's why he keeps you around, Kevin.
Yeah.
Nah, he's an amazing guitarist.
So
I guess.
when is this?
I'm okay.
When is this new CD? When do you think it's coming out?
Well, we were hoping to finish it. Well, we started in November, and we were hoping to finish by February. But
How'd that work out?
We
July.
Is it July? Is it last
No,
February?
nobody said a year.
Yeah.
You're
that's the
right.
good thing is that we didn't have a time frame. We're kind of taking our time with it.
It's done when it's right, you know?
Yeah. And we felt like we rushed our first and second EP, because we were at the studio we had a 10-hour day. We had to do 3 songs in 10 hours, and on top of like mixing and stuff like that.
Yikes.
So yeah, it was
Darn budgets.
yeah.
Well, this is an art choice. That's kind of how. It depends on what kind of studio you go into. If you go into a certain studio and they're like, you got a time limit, you got to go in and make sure you bang it all out. But with the way we're doing it now, we kind of
control it.
keep trucking till it's done, till it's right, till we're comfortable.
Until
till
we
it's
like it.
Should pretty
exactly
much
how
be
we want it to
ready
sound.
before you go into the studio to document anyway, right?
Yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah. No, the
Oh
songs
yeah,
are good to
everything's
go,
all written.
but-
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so I'm hoping by the end of the year that the whole album will be. I mean, we're mostly in the mixing and mastering of it now, so
Nice.
should be good to go relatively soon.
That's good. Don't you think?
I like it. I like the music.
Thank you.
From what I've heard so far, I want to hear more.
Excellent.
All right. Why don't you guys do one?
Okay.
Because I'm gonna cough.
That was a good cue.
Get off.
Yeah, this one is not on that album. The last one was, but this one is an older one that me and Kevin do. We're kind of mixing it
Oldie
up,
but
old,
goodie.
new, old, new, old, new.
Don't mind me. I have to drink water or I will cough. I've been pretty good tonight, don't you think, there,
I
Sure.
would-
Fraulein?
Don't call me Fraulein.
Yeah, we haven't played this in a while.
Yeah, I hope.
Can I do
we
that
know
for
it.
you, please? Really? No, seriously. Can I pour that for you, please?
I'm like watching his water circus right now. I don't trust it. Oh, he spilled.
That's it. That's all I need.
No, he didn't spill.
That'll
You
get
can't
me
see
through.
it.
Oh, true. It's
You can't see
radio.
it.
No,
It's on the radio.
So, did you spill water, or are you just happy to see?
There we go. Oh. Thank you. It's hard to talk and chew gum and pour water at the same time. Wait, I threw the gum away. Okay. All right, what's this one called?
Is that gonna be Jurassic Park?
That was going to be Jurassic Park. Yeah. This one's called Get Off.
Whoa. Experiment 34 here on Rock On Radio.
I can write a love song just to get you off of my back. I can write a love song and turn you on. If I can write a love song just to jump you off of your track, I can write a love song and get you off. I'm feeling distant. And it's your move,
It's your move.
your position. What did you prove? What did you prove now, girl? What did you prove? Yeah, play the guitar. You can have what you want, baby. Now take your pick.
Take your pick.
Come on, I can write a love song and make you ill. If you can have what you want, you might as well. An opportunity wasted.
Wasted.
Like hell, I'm feeling destined. And it's your move,
It's your move.
your position. What did you prove?
What did you prove?
Oh, come on. Slit my wrist and I cut your move. Fix my sickness, I give it to you. Oh, why don't you just get off? 1, 2, 3.
Experiment 34 here on Rock On Radio.
Nice.
Rock on the
Thank you.
radio.
Excellent, excellent. You know, there's speaking of musical happenings, I just got this email. Our good friend Jonathan T, who's been in here. Apparently, he has teamed up with a local Hamilton promoter, Cat Falsey, and I would really like to figure out how to go to this show. It's on a Thursday. It features
Get
well,
in your car.
Any Thursday? Any old Thursday?
any Thursday. Just pick a Thursday, and you can show up.
Gotcha.
And hopefully, this will be there.
Well, then
when
maybe
get
you'll
there.
make it.
I might. A Nashville-style in-the-round evening uniting 4 singer-songwriters from the local and regional area in a listening-friendly, intimate setting located at Clancy's Tavern inside the Dublin Room. Now, I will openly admit that I have been inebriated at Clancy's Tavern before.
Where haven't you been?
You got
Inebriated.
well, I'm working on that.
Okay.
There's
Right here and now, right?
you know where Clancy's is, right? Right there at Ocean
Yeah.
Grove. Well, technically it's Ocean Grove, but
I've
it's the strip mall across the street. It's Neptune, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Right across the
definitely
street
seen
from
it,
Ocean
passed
Grove.
by it, have
You know
not
that
been
strip
inside,
mall
though.
next to the Burger King, right there on Main Street, as you're heading
Yeah.
down towards Asbury,
Yeah.
right where Lake Drive and
Right.
all that stuff comes
Kind of by
together.
the hospital a little
By the Amico and the Dunkin' Donuts. There's that strip mall across the street. There's a Dunkin' Donuts inside the Amico, yeah. Or BP. BP it is now, not an Amico. I'm sorry. That's, ooh, man, I'm showing my age, Art.
BP isn't around either.
It is there.
No.
I got gas at BP this morning.
There's a BP on 33rd.
BP's around.
Is there?
Yeah, there's one right by my house.
Didn't they change their name
Oh.
and get
They
bought
used to
out
be.
a year ago?
They used to be Amico,
They used to be British.
and right.
They still are.
They call them something else, though.
But that's where Clancy's is, in that strip mall, right in there. It's
Derailed
an
the conversation.
Irish pub over gasoline, gasbuddy.com. In the Dublin
Didn't
room,
work.
each month, Jonathan T. will host a.
So it's not just a one-shot deal.
No, it's going to be a monthly thing.
Oh, well, then you can
And
make
he's
it.
hosting singer-songwriters. It's in the round, hosted by Jonathan T. Spilling the Tea, it's called. He'll be part of
I
it,
like
of course,
that.
playing.
Gotcha.
But this first show is a killer. It's Thursday, July 26th from 8 to 10:30 p.m. It's free. It's all ages. You know, there's food and music and drinks. And
Cool.
Clancy's has this bar pie. It's called the Bang Bang Pizza. It's like hot peppers with red pepper, like red pepper flakes, and it's. Oh, yeah. They also have a Reuben pie, so it's like
Nice.
a,
That sounds
sauerkraut
good.
and
Yeah.
corned beef.
That
Anyway,
sounds good.
listen
I'm
to this
good.
lineup: Jonathan
Your
T,
heart hurts.
Arlen
tell her
Filas, George Worth, and Regina Goldie. It's just, for me, it'd be worth it just to go see Worth. The Worth.
Because it's
Worth it to worth.
It's worth it.
Worth it for worth.
George Worth won, I don't know, 4,000 Asbury Music Awards a few years back for this album he put out called The Last Good Kiss. It's just him and an acoustic guitar. One track has a female vocal backing up and a violin. But other than that, it is probably, I cannot understand. And George is he's a veteran musician. He's an older gentleman. And it just, I can't understand how it did not get picked up by anybody. It's probably one of the greatest albums I've ever heard.
Really?
You know, and so that will be July 26th. So at Clancy's Tavern in Neptune. Cheap drinks, good food, and that's
music.
a great musical lineup. So if you guys, anybody out there in the area, July 26th as well, check that out.
Road
But
trip.
you guys, right?
Sure.
I might contact Jonathan, see if he wants us to do a whole,
Yeah, I think we should
maybe a
do
little footage thing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should do a What's Next or Danny on a
Yeah.
Street or something.
Dan on the street.
Dan on the
There you
Reuben.
go.
Reuben Pie.
Reuben Pie. That's right. And a Bang
It's a
Bang
good
Pizza.
stage name. Reuben Pie.
Reuben Pie.
Reuben
Right?
Yeah, they got great bar pies.
I'm hungry now.
All right.
Yeah, I actually do.
So July 14th at the Asbury Park Brewery, which is located on, I think it's Cookman, right?
I believe so.
Cookman, or is it Lake?
I think it is.
The
Cookman.
distillery's on Lake. So
This is at Cookman, though.
right, the brewery's on Cookman. Okay. That is July 14th. I think it starts at what, 7
7.
p.m.
6. No?
Doors are at
Doors
6,
at
I
six.
Oh,
think.
doors
Doors are
6.
six.
Okay, sorry.
It's
I
$5.
almost-
It's $1 a band.
Yeah, it's great.
Not bad.
Right? $5 to get in. And it's part of the Bob Makin Asbury Park Brewery series.
Making
Trenton
waves.
makes tape.
Making
Guys,
waves.
Trenton makes takeover. Trenton. Tretun. Trenton.
The more you say it, the more you want to make train.
I think Lorana Phillips schooled you on that many times.
Think so? Yeah, right. You know, her and Michael are getting,
Hitched?
yeah.
I know, I saw that.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Wedding's in September.
You're going to ruin a good
So-
relationship.
I'm telling you. I have to call her, try to talk her out of it. Call Michael. Michael Ray, a Cool in the Gang, comes in here every now and then whenever he gets a chance. He's a trumpet player.
Oh, really?
He likes to come in and hang out with us.
He
He's
just
done it-
played with somebody, too, man. Like a younger band.
Did he?
I think yeah, I can't think of who
He's
it was.
played with, with Fish.
That's what
He
it was.
plays with Fish.
Wow,
They
really?
call- yeah. Yep. Plays with different ska bands, and he play, with
He
Cool
can't
in
do the
Gang.
backflips anymore. But
No. Michael's not a young man either, so.
Neither are we.
And Lorana's
No.
got this great scat voice, so kind of it's a very interesting thing they got going on there.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Good for them. So, I hope I didn't ruin their surprise, but
Well, they posted it.
so what do you guys individually and together as a unit, Experiment 34? What are you looking for out of your music career?
I just want to personally. I mean, I don't know if we all differ, feel the same way, but I want to just keep. Really, what I use this for is an outlet of expression for myself. So as long as we can keep it in a way where I can keep that going for as long as I can, personally, I'll feel fulfilled. If my outlet reaches, if my outlet can reach as many ears as possible, wonderful. We are a cohesive group, but I got into this by writing poetry, so for me, it's a release more than anything.
Do you ever go to poetry events, slams?
Less than I used to, but I'm
Okay.
definitely not a stranger to them.
We had a guy on here does one out of Tom's River, or not Tom's River, Point Pleasant.
I don't know. I thought it was Tom's River.
No,
Oh,
he does it out of Point Pleasant at the library,
Oh, gotcha.
but Chris Rockwell does
Rockwell,
it out of
right.
Tom's River.
Oh, gotcha.
At
That's what I was
the
thinking of.
the
Okay.
Revolution Lounge. The heavy metal poet. And
I remember him.
He was a guest on the YouTube show, yeah, and he does once a month. I think it's the first or second Tuesday, because it used to coincide with my happy hours. So, but he's open. It's kind of like an open mic for poets.
Where is it?
Down there? That's in Point Pleasant. I think it's at the
Oh,
library.
I love Point Pleasant. Cool. Oh, cool. Interesting.
I think it's at the library. The Heavy
Haven't
Metal
been in one
Poet.
of
Look
those
him
in a
up
while.
on Facebook, and
Heavy metal
you can
poet.
check that out. Yep.
Awesome.
How about you, Kev?
I definitely feel like playing guitar it probably is one of my favorite things to do, because I just feel free with it, because I don't know, and I also feel the same way, just like listening to music, playing music, it feels good, and a lot of people think that they make a lot of mistakes and stuff like that, but I don't think there are mistakes in music, and that's why I like it so much, is that you could experiment with anything, and you're solely just expressing yourself. That's how I feel with it. At
That's
least.
why I like to play originals over covers, because people know cover material. They're
Yeah.
expecting to hear that lead that way, or they're
And
expecting
mistakes
to
are just
hear-
new opportunities.
Right, But with original music, I meant for that to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dissonance.
Look
you
at
know
Nirvana.
what dissonance means? That's
know
right.
what?
Yeah, look it up.
I watched one of those like Dan Rather on Access TV, and he asked somebody that question. They were like, you can't. They want to be able to sing to it, and if you change it and they can't, they get
Right.
upset.
Even
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to the Jimmy Buffett concert, but I wasn't able to.
But I failed you miserably.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I was gonna go anyway without that, but anyway, I couldn't go at the last minute, and but I watched it on Facebook Live. They do all of his concerts on Facebook
Oh, I
Live,
didn't know that.
and and so I was trying to sing along with it, but even I guess when you're doing it every night, they change it, but you want to sing it the other way,
And that's exactly what's the
hard.
point, yeah.
Because I wasn't in a concert, I was sitting in front of a computer the whole time, and it was different because I was like, oh,
Yeah, you could get up and go to the bathroom.
It's like a
I could get
And not
better
lose your
than-
seat.
That's true.
MTV Live has been playing like ELO, you know what I mean? Like Jeff Lynne and ELO, like
Right.
original from like Hyde Park, and everything that they played off that album sounded exactly live. I mean, they didn't miss a thing.
Right. And that's and I mean that's as a listener.
Of course, there was like 500,000 people there.
I went to a KG Elephant concert recently, and actually it wasn't recently at all. But I went to a KG Elephant concert, and they played most of the songs they played like to a T, just like you heard on the album. But their most famous song, "Ain't No Rest for the Wicked," they played completely different. I guess because they've just heard it and played it so much, they just wanted to, and everyone
Change
was
it up.
kind of like, "Is this it?"
We waited all night for
I
this.
know, right.
I loved it. I personally think it was even better than the way it goes. But I could see how other people were like,
Wait a minute. Yeah.
4 or
But,
5
that show
years
was
ago,
awesome.
I went to the Garden, but not Madison, not the big theater, the smaller one. It used to be the Felt Forum or whatever it was that they had underneath the Garden there when they had the boxing matches and things.
Okay.
They've reworked it into a theater, a couple thousand seat theater, maybe 1,800, whatever. Van Morrison. Was there, right? He had a new album out. He played everything off the new album. He did some version of Brown Eyed Girl that sounded like half grunge, half calypso.
Oh wow.
Interesting.
That everybody was like,
Only if
what?
you like it.
And he encored with Gloria. They were the only two songs that
Wow.
you knew that you were familiar with that he was getting booed.
Wow.
What I spent these two girls sitting next to me came from North Carolina.
For Moondance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that one, yeah.
They're
Definitely.
like no
Or
moon
Into the
dance,
Mystic.
no
I mean,
into
come
the
on,
mystic,
yeah.
no wild night, no. And they
Yeah.
were. I drove 700 miles for this.
Oh,
Personally, like I get why people feel that way, but personally, you came to that concert to see what he was gonna play that night. I don't agree that he has to play his hits. He could play whatever he wants, in my opinion. You know.
Well, because he's Van Morrison,
Right.
and he'll get people to come out again. But if you're smart,
Right.
you will only play a few songs off the new album to wet people's whistle, because the whole reason you are there is because
The
the other
past
three
stuff.
albums that
Right.
you did before that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
but-
built that reputation based on. I mean, could you imagine? Could
You
you,
gotta give your fans
imagine
something.
going to see like the Rolling Stones and not hearing, like Let It Bleed or Give Me Shelter or Jumpin' Jack Flash or
Yeah, I mean, I understand the disappointment, but again, I feel that it's up to the artist's discretion. You could play what
Of course,
Oh,
it's always the
sure,
artist's
yeah.
discretion.
Yeah.
It's their
But as
career.
fans-
If he doesn't
Their
want to
career
play
to
the
ruin
song,
as they
Right.
choose.
Right.
They may not be now. Bruce Springsteen put out "Born in the USA," and 20 days into the tour, he already had like 6 hit singles off it, so it didn't matter.
right,
right.
People knew. But we got to wrap it up, guys. It is 9:00 on the dot. I heard the church bells tolling. I hear the music has stopped outside. Thank you guys so much for making the trip.
Hey,
Yeah,
thanks so
thanks
much
for
for
having
having us.
July
Great time.
14th, Asbury Park Brewery,
Be there.
Makin Waves.
Trenton
7
makes
p.m.
takeover.
Trenton makes takeover
Be there.
with Molly Rhythm, Crypt Keeper 5, the Hub City Stompers,
And Chalk.
Chalk and the Beige Americans.
Chalk and the Beige Americans.
Love him.
You were listening tonight to Experiment 34. Next week we have Crazy in the Brains.
Yep.
All right. Good luck, fellas. Till next week.
Thanks.
Rock on.